Hey everyone, it's Steven again. I want to talk to you today about Project Bluebeam, the coming alien invasion, demonic infiltration, and Bible prophecy. What all these have in common. If you've been following the news at all recently, you will know that there have been two explosive headlines that have dominated the news. The first is a bombshell whistleblower report by an individual named David Grush. David Grush is apparently a senior intelligence officer in the United States government and in the United States military who came forward and admitted that the United States of America has non-human flying objects in their possession. On top of this, it is reported that the United States government are working to reverse engineer the technology that they have and have been keeping it hush-hush and have been keeping it secret in order to prevent the nations of the world from somehow trying to obtain the technology and do the same thing. In addition to this, there's been another headline that came out of Las Vegas, Nevada, where police responded to a 911 call where individuals in a house there in Las Vegas reported strange phenomena and strange occurrences. Body cam footage has been released, and in this excerpt, in these videos, it's reported that not only are the individuals who reported these events visibly shaken, but also the police themselves who responded to the call are themselves utterly and completely shaken. In the video, there appears to be an orb of light that appears in the sky and appears to move throughout the sky. But on top of this, there is also report by those who initiated the call that they saw beings 8 to 10 feet tall that were clearly not human. So this begs the question. This is a question that's been asked for years, for centuries. Are we alone in this universe? Is it just planet Earth and humanity in the universe, or is it possible that we are not alone? I am going to emphatically declare to you that the answer to that question is no, we are not alone. However, with that being said, I want to also declare to you that with us not being alone, those beings who we are going to see and who people have reported as having already come into existence and into their lives are actually not what we would think. The Bible speaks a great deal about demons. The Bible speaks a great deal about unclean spirits. The Bible speaks a great deal about Nephilim and giants. And Jesus declared that as it was in the days of Noah, so also it would be in the coming of the Son of Man. There is going to be a correlation between the days of Noah and the days of the return of the Son of God. In the days of Noah, you recall that the sons of God went in unto the daughters of men, and they bore unto them giants. They bore unto them Nephilim, those who had polluted and defiled and corrupted the race and the seed of men. It was perhaps the single greatest reason why God sent the flood, because all but Noah and his family members, all but Noah and his family of 8, were utterly and completely wicked, and violence filled the earth. And so God had to initiate the very first great reset. The flood that was sent during the days of Noah was indeed the great reset. And I'm convinced there's going to be another great reset, but it's not the great reset that you think. It's a great reset that's going to occur when the heavens and the earth, the old heavens and the new earth, are destroyed, and a new heaven and a new earth are created. The new Jerusalem that is going to come down from heaven. There is another great reset that is going to happen. In light of all this, the Bible speaks very clearly about a great delusion that if it were possible, it would deceive even the very elect. I want to share this video, and I want to use this video to describe and to declare to you that we as Christians, we as the people of God, need to be wise and discerning. We need to be as the sons of Issachar, who understood the times and understood what Israel ought to do. We need to understand the times and understand what we ought to do. It is no coincidence that as of late, UFOs, alien invasion, visitors from other dimensions are exploding on the media. Take into account the recent dialogue about CERN and what CERN is trying to do in opening a portal to another dimension. Mankind in this generation has united themselves under one banner to not only open a portal to another dimension, but also bring into this world beings from another dimension. Is it any wonder why some of the latest Marvel movies have gone and delved into this reality of the quantum universe? Is it any wonder why the latest Spider-Man movie is describing this in great detail? Is it any wonder why even movies like Doctor Strange or Ant-Man describe this quantum universe, describe this portal and this other dimension and these other parallel universes? CERN is intent and is deliberate in their desire to open up a portal. And what they are seeking to do is to open up a portal to invite that which is on the other side of the portal into our world. What does all this have to do with the Bible? I want to shift gears here and I want to read to you a passage from the book of Revelation in the 9th chapter. This is where the Apostle John sees a great vision in the apocalypse. It's where the Apostle John sees a mighty invasion coming in the last days. Revelation chapter 9, beginning with verse 13. Then the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. So the four angels who had been prepared for the hour and day and month and year were released to kill a third of mankind. Now the number of the army of the horsemen was 200 million. I heard the number of them, and thus I saw the horses in the vision. Those who sat on them had breastplates of fiery red, hyacinth blue, and sulfur yellow. And the heads of the horses were like the heads of lions, and out of their mouths came fire, smoke, and brimstone. I want to begin and go back to the opening verses of this chapter now and describe what happens when the fifth angel sounded his trumpet. Then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to the earth. To him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. So the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit. Then out of the smoke locusts came upon the earth, and to them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. They were commanded not to harm the grass of the earth, or any green thing, or any tree, but only those men who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. And they were not given authority to kill them, but to torment them for 5 months. Their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. In those days men will seek death and will not find it. They will desire to die, and death will flee from them. The shape of the locust was like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were crowns of something like gold, and their faces were like the faces of men. They had hair like women's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth. And they had breastplates like breastplates of iron. And the sound of their wings was like the sound of chariots with many horses running into battle. They had tails like scorpions, and there were stings in their tails. Their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, those whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon. One woe is past. Behold, 2 more woes are coming after these things. The question that I have is what we just read. Does it perhaps describe what many are referring to and what many have labeled as an alien invasion? Are the locusts that have been mentioned in the 9th chapter of the prophetic book of Revelation actually aliens that are coming and invading the earth? The Apostle John sees that they come out of the bottomless pit, and there's been much speculation about where the bottomless pit actually is. Is the bottomless pit present in the earth, or is the bottomless pit somehow present in another dimension? This takes on a whole nother level when you think about what CERN is trying to do and opening up a portal to another dimension. Is it possible that what the Apostle John saw is actually the coming alien invasion? But with that being said, I am absolutely convinced that in the last days, the great delusion is not going to be the alien invasion itself, but it is going to be demons themselves masquerading and parading themselves as aliens because we have been conditioned. One of the greatest questions that we are witnessing in this hour is, have we seen sort of a buildup and a soft reveal, and there is coming a time when the great reveal is going to take place? There's been much speculation. Is the Antichrist going to be alien? Is the Antichrist going to be artificial intelligence? Is the Antichrist going to be a hybrid of alien and humanity, alien and man? Or is the Antichrist going to be a hybrid of machine and man? Much speculation has actually happened. Is it possible that the Antichrist could actually come in the midst of this alien invasion, could actually come down in a great beam of light and appear on the scene to unite the world? We watched movies like Independence Day and Independence Day Resurgence, and we think these movies are solely for entertainment. We think these movies are solely for our enjoyment, and yet I can't help but wonder if we're not witnessing an actual blueprint for what is actually going to take place in the coming days. I mentioned Project Bluebeam, and I want to set a timeline. I want to give you a timeline of the events that have culminated in Project Bluebeam and what we can expect. What I want to do now is just read to you a brief history, a brief chronology of what has happened. For those of you who don't know, in a nutshell, Project Bluebeam is the theory that the powers that be are planning to fake, listen to that, fake an alien invasion in the coming years with the intention to bring the world's nations together to fight against a common cause. The ultimate objective being to usher in a new world order. It's possible that a lot of extra stuff has been added to the theory along the way in an attempt to discredit. The theory at its foundation is simply that the powers that be are going to fake an alien attack, and I believe that it is possible based on the following information. I'm going to give you a timeline beginning with 1947. In 1947, we have the Roswell incident, which happened in Roswell, New Mexico. In my video, or in the description of this video, I'm going to include links where you can find access to this information. In 1947, Project Blue Book, not Blue Beam, is established by the U.S. Air Force, the covert systematic study of UFO. In 1953, classified CIA documents, now declassified and submitted by former United States Director of Central Intelligence Walter B. Smith, details how UFOs could be used as psychological warfare. Psychological warfare. We also know that a massive health crisis over the past years has also been used as psychological warfare. In 1955, Area 51 was built. 1969, Project Blue Book is terminated. 1970, it's possible that Project Bluebeam was started. In 1975, U.S. military intelligence serviceman Gene Roddenberry writes a script for a Star Trek film which has the basis of Project Bluebeam as its plot, but the film is never made. It is later described in the book The Myth and the Man Behind Star Trek. In 1977, German and American aerospace engineer and space architect Werner von Braun spends last few months of his life with cancer explaining to Dr. Carol Rosen that an alien card is going to be played by the government and that it is all a big lie. 1987, U.S. President Ronald Reagan explains at a United Nations meeting, "I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bond." 1991, George Bush Sr. gives a speech where he states, "What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order where diverse nations are drawn together in a common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind, peace and security, freedom and the rule of law. Out of these humble times, our fifth objective, the New World Order, can emerge, and now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order." In 1991, ex-military serviceman William B. Cooper releases Behold a Pale Horse, which has a section that reads, "Can you imagine what will happen if Los Angeles is hit with a 9.0 quake, New York City is destroyed by a terrorist-planted atomic bomb, World War III breaks out in the Middle East, the banks and stock markets collapse, extraterrestrials land on the White House lawn, food disappears from the markets, some people disappear, and the Messiah presents himself to the world." All of this could very well happen, and may very well happen in the coming days. 1991, Janet Morris, who has worked as a consultant to the Defense Department, the CIA, and the NSA, CIA, joins the USGSC to create the Non-Lethality Policy Review Group led by Major General Chris S. Adams, United States Air Force. Janet Morris publishes numerous white papers in 1991 detailing the USGSC's non-lethal war doctrine proposals. The papers promoted diversifying and expanding non-lethal weapon capability for the use in increased American intervention in global conflicts. Later in life, she describes these non-lethal weapons as holograms. Here is where it gets interesting. In 1994, Canadian journalist Sergei Monast releases the book Project Bluebeam, explaining Project Bluebeam theory and how it ultimately ends in a fake alien invasion which will be used to usher in a new world order, and spends the next 2 years giving lectures and interviews on the topic. 1996. The police arrest Sergei Monast for homeschooling his children and taking his daughter away. The following day, Sergei Monast is released from jail and suspiciously dies of what is reported as a heart attack. 2001. William B. Cooper dies in a shootout with the Apache County Sheriffs after evading an arrest warrant for 3 years. 2004. Getting closer to the present day. Janet Morris, who worked on the non-lethal weapons holograms with the USGSC, appears on British television talking in depth about how the holograms could be used to project Jesus, the devil, or UFOs into the sky. Lest you think this is crazy, think about one of the recent Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland and how holograms were actually used to make it seem like events were happening in the world. It was actually drones that were used to project a holographic reality around people to make them think that what they were seeing was actually real. We think this stuff is just cinema. We think this stuff is just entertainment, and it's not. This stuff is very real, and this stuff can very well be used to deceive the masses, like we read in the Bible about a great delusion. 2004 is also the last record of her having any employment within governmental agencies. In 2009, Dr. Carol Rosen gives a speech at UFO Disclosure Project explaining her conversations with Werner von Braun. 2020 to 2022, MSM starts to report on multiple UFO sightings. The government starts to admit the existence of UFOs and the true extent of reported sightings. UFOs are renamed UAPs. Netflix released multiple UFO documentaries. Joe Rogan has ex-servicemen on his podcast admitting they've seen UAPs in American airspace, and ex-President Barack Obama admits on live TV that UFOs exist. Harvard scientist Robert Duncan talks about Project Bluebeam on the Concrete podcast, which has since been removed from the YouTube channel. February 2023. One surveillance balloon shot down. 3 UFOs shot down in the same locations the balloon passed through in the space of 3 days. New reports now say that the balloon was heading in the direction of Hawaii, where a huge wall of green lasers was seen on the same day the balloon was spotted. Let's be clear that the 3 UFOs were all originally reported as cylindrical and the size of a car, not balloons. 5 trains derailed. You ever ask yourself how and why all of these trains had derailed? 3 releasing chemical spills. 3 cell companies down, 4 social media platforms down, and 3 government buildings lose electricity at the same time. 8 countries pull all of their ambassadors out of Turkey 24 hours before a giant earthquake hits. Huge 5-acre warehouse fire in Florida. U.S. Black Hawk helicopter crashes in Alabama. Other multiple earthquakes worldwide happening at an increased frequency, as well as areas which are never normally hit by quakes, such as Romania. Here's where I want to bring this video to a close. I did a previous video about aliens versus AI, and in that video I described how there could be a coming alien invasion, and how in order to defend ourselves against an alien invasion, man must merge himself with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence can not only operate independently in and of itself, but man actually merges with machine in order to defend itself against the alien invasion. The premise of that video is that there could be a conflict between artificial intelligence and aliens. I even spoke about World War III and how World War III may very well be incited by what nations join themselves with aliens and what nations join themselves with artificial intelligence. I also mentioned how the Antichrist is going to be at the center of all of this. The question that I have to ask is whether or not all of this is actually going to happen as I describe in this video. Let me be very clear that we will see what is going to be projected as an alien invasion. Is it possible that it is going to be done using holograph projectors? I can't say for sure. That's obviously speculation. But what I can say is that even if they project this fake alien invasion on mankind, it is possible that the demonic hordes which have been preparing and planning for this will masquerade themselves as aliens, and what was once simply a holographic projection is going to be an actual reality. And men and women who have been conditioned for an alien invasion are actually opening themselves up to a demonic invasion and a demonic infiltration. One of the questions that I can't help but ask is it possible that when this alien invasion happens, is it possible that when aliens come, that this is when the Antichrist emerges? Either to unite the world against the aliens, or maybe even come down in a great beam of light from a UFO or from an unidentified flying object, or at that time we may already have a description and know what we are dealing with. What I can say is we can expect all of this to occur. We can expect a great culmination over the next few weeks, over the next few months, and ultimately leading to the 2024 presidential election. ultimately culminating in 2025. I believe 2025 is going to be a crucial and pivotal year. What we thought in 2020 and 2021 with the health crisis and with the pandemic and with the health emergency was means of uniting the globe, that was mere child's play compared to what is going to happen in the coming days. There is a reason why we are seeing banks collapsing. There's a reason why we are seeing food shortages. There's a reason why we saw supply chain shortages. There's a reason why we are witnessing everything that we are witnessing, because it is all used to bring the world to a place where they will give up, where men will give up their freedoms and their liberties under a common good, and when a totalitarian and dictator government is going to be established, and at the helm of all of this is going to be the Antichrist. Let me be very clear and repeat once more that whatever you think about an alien invasion, you need to recognize that this alien invasion is going to be an invasion and an infiltration, and it is going to come from the heavens. However, it is not going to be aliens as we have described. It is going to actually be demonic forces that are going to be parading and masquerading themselves as aliens. There's been talk about alien abductions. There's been talk about people that have been taken and have been returned. And the question that I have is it possible that at the same time of the rapture of Jesus Christ, that they are going to appear and manifest in an attempt to discredit the rapture? Let's also be clear that it is very possible that this alien invasion, that this great plethora of UFOs, this great infiltration of aliens could very well precede the coming of the Messiah, could very well precede him appearing in the heavens in a means to discredit it. So when it finally does happen, man can point to something that has already happened and been tangible and said that this was not the rapture, but this was simply another round of people being taken. This was another round of people being abducted by aliens, and you find the Antichrist emerging and rising onto the scene. My friends, we have to be very diligent. We have to be wise. We have to be discerning. We have to be men and women of knowledge and understanding in the coming days. And I want you to understand Bible prophecy and what the Bible actually says. I would love to get your comments on all of this. I would love to get your take. I would love to have a dialogue. Feel free to post your comments below. Feel free to share your thoughts. Feel free to share your research. I'd love to have an open dialogue. Share this video with friends, family members, co-workers. Go ahead and click the like button, and hey, subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date on all my latest content. Hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on all future video. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I look forward to talking to you all again.